Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Tonight, border leaders seek borders in police custody released unconditionally. Court dismisses Kakwenza's application seeking to quash charges against him. Police amends the bail application form. And in sports, Arua City to house a Confederation of African Football Standard Stadium.
Was brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN.
Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nalva Avenue. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. Now, the Prime Minister Robina Nabanja with Mubende District Members of Parliament have held a fundraising drive to support construction of 2 residential houses for Church of Uganda Deacons. The beneficiary churches are St. Thomas Kasenyi in Mubende Municipality and Kitonzi in Nabingola Parish. We have more in this report.
Construction of the 2 residential houses for the deacons of St. Thomas Kasenyi and Chitonzi Parish in Mubende District received a boost from Prime Minister Robina Nabanja. She was supported by the area and Iala members of Parliament represented by Dennis Namara. As part of the effort to facilitate church ministry work, the 2 parishes embarked on construction of residential houses for their deacons. Construction works at St. Thomas Kasenyi is estimated to cost 370 million shillings, while Chitonzi Parish requires 83 million to be complete. Prime Minister Robina Nabanja contributed 15 million towards the completion of the housing project at St. Thomas Kasenyi and 15 million for Chitonzi Parish. She acknowledged the contribution from the church to national cohesion and development. The Deputy Speaker of Parliament also pledged a contribution of 10 million and the 4 Uganda's Iala MPs represented by Dennis Namara each contributed 1 million.
Esente zonna zetufunye omugatte ziri mitwalo 22 milioni 22 mu mitwalo 916 mu siringi 4 mu luzungu. Our total collection is 22,916,400. Mwebale nnyo mwenna. Mwebale. Emilioni 2 okuzifuna si kyangu. Ate waliwo zino ezitali za buli milioni 5 eza Nabanja ne milioni 1 eya West Africa Odongo. Zonna wamu omugatte zonna tufuna milioni 28 mu mitwalo 916 mu siringi 4.
While at Kasenyi, the Prime Minister inspected an exhibition by a women's group called Kasenyi Child Development Center. Items on the exhibition included crafts, liquid soap, shoes, stationery, clothes, among others, all locally made by this group. She encouraged formation of circles to enable the government to fund their initiatives. Mubende District Woman, Member of Parliament, Honorable Nakazibwe Grania Hope, brought to the attention of the Prime Minister the challenges they face, which include land grabbing, lack of water, electricity, and drugs in the health center, as well as unscrupulous moneylenders. She took note of the issues and assured them about government's commitment to urgently address them. The leadership of the 2 churches thanked the members of Parliament and the Prime Minister for championing this construction effort. Doreen Nasasira reporting for UBC News.
to the courts of law now, where Buganda Road Grade 1 Magistrates Court has dismissed Kakweza Ruchira Abashaija's application asking court to quash the charges where he is accused of offensive communication following the torture which was inflicted on him. According to the presiding magistrate, Douglas Singiza, Kakweza's application had no concrete grounds on which the charges against him could be dismissed. However, prosecution informed court that they are ready to proceed with the hearing of the case. Magistrate Douglas Singiza set the 23rd of March 2022 to start hearing of this matter.
Very clearly, all medical reports and records suggest that whatever medical condition the accused person may have suffered from can sufficiently be handled in one of our numerous medical facilities in this country. 2. I've also perused the charge sheet and the stated particulars. Having addressed myself to the provisions in the law regarding the framing of charge sheets, it seems to be that the test is whether the information provided in a charge sheet is sufficiently clear and reasonably clear to enable an accused person to respond to the allegations therein. I find that on the whole there is sufficient information in the charge sheet with reasonable details from the given to the accused person. I therefore find no prejudice may be suffered in the present form of the charge sheet. I therefore decline to grant all the prayers made by the counsel for the accused person, and instead that this case be urgently fixed to be heard on a day-to-day hearing.
Feelings are bitter because it jeopardizes the chances of our client to fight for his life and his. Since we started looking for him, they have been hiding him. Since we started trying to expose his torture, they have been fighting it. So this is the latest attempt to shield. We are going to legally challenge this. We know how to legally challenge it in a high court. We are going to do that tomorrow.
A Forum for Democratic Change FDC party will hold primary elections to choose a person who will be sent to the 11th Parliament to compete with others to represent the party in the East African Legislative Assembly. During the weekly press briefing at the party headquarters in Najanankumbi, the Chieftaincy of Electoral Affairs FDC, Toterebuka Abamwenda, said 5 people had been successfully nominated by closure of nominations.
Forum for Democratic Change headquarters in Najanankumbi will have an electoral college composed of the members of the executive committee of the party assembling to elect a representative to the East African Legislative Assembly. 1 person is to be elected from the 5 that are contesting. These are Kaija Harold, Nanyonjo Susan, Seruge Yasin, Tindiewa Joseph and Wante Jamal Luanga.
At each candidate's address and thereafter, after all the candidates have addressed the Electoral College, there will be the question and answer session. The candidates are going to interface with the voters tomorrow.
The party has also been traversing the country to assess their performance and reconciling members with disputes following the 2021 general elections. Covered Rwenzori sub-region, Kigezi, West Ankole and East Ankole. They plan to proceed to Northern and Central region.
Like to also bring to the notice of the people of Uganda that the matters of human rights abuses are not going to be taken lightly. While we were in Western Uganda, in all those meetings, we got names of military officers surfacing, and we have testimonies recorded both audio and video forms, of names which are mentioned and brought to us by our members, particularly in the district of Isingiro and Weare.
FDC party cited the torture of one of their members who was also in attendance at the presser, Rukirabasaija Kakwenza, and emphasized that Parliament passed the anti-torture law to end harassment of Ugandans.
Involved in abuses of human rights, I want to repeat this, through the forms of harassment, intimidation of our members, supporters and candidates, will be taken to court within Uganda and outside. There are courts within Uganda, the courts of law of Uganda. There are courts outside, like the East African Court of Justice, the ICC. These people will be taken to the ICC.
I'm Nafka Farida in Najanankumbi.
Now, Chief Justice Owinyi Dolo has rallied Ugandans to embrace the legacy of the late Father Simon Lokodo, who died last week. The former State Minister for Ethics and Integrity is well known for standing against cultural imperialism and all sorts of immorality. Justice Dolo was the chief mourner at Christ the King Church here in Kampala during the last funeral service to remember the fallen former minister. Now, members of the Leadership Court Tribunal have pledged to name a library after the deceased.
As it is the trend to control the spread of COVID-19, the rectangular-shaped portrait of the late Reverend Father Simon Lokodo was strategically positioned at Christ the King Church for a funeral service to bid farewell to the soul of the deceased who died last week in Geneva, Switzerland. The former priest turned politician was a strong religious leader who did not separate himself from God, even while in politics. Father Matthias Nteza led the prayers.
We are going to miss his word, standing by the truth in whatever he has done. We shall miss that.
The former State Minister for Ethics and Integrity developed a cardiac arrest immediately after his speech in a human rights function in Geneva.
Doctors immediately subjected him to the COVID test, a rapid test that came out positive. And once it came out positive, we were separated physically from Father.
The major contributions of the late Father Lokodo, including the fight against homosexuality and all kinds of immorality, cannot go unnoticed.
But Father Lokodo did not fear. I remember in the cabinet, he would take it on, whether it is nyege, whether it is what, he would say, no, we shouldn't allow this in our country. Karamoja, we are so few, that when we lose someone like this, we really feel, as the Karamojong say, that we start feeling cold because someone has been there to cover the cold from reaching you, but now you feel the cold coming straight because the person has gone.
At the time of his death, Father Lokodo was a member of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, a position he acquired after he left cabinet in 2021.
He spearheaded and championed the visiting of prisons. He spearheaded the visiting of Kakwenza when the world was trying to look for this gentleman.
This morning we resolved as a tribunal that we shall have a library that will be named after him because we want to immortalize him.
The Chief Justice, Owinyi Dolo, was the chief mourner who rallied the congregation to embrace the legacy of the late Father Lokodo.
Fighting corruption is really more than 1,000 deeds. It's more than 1,000 things, and yet God was prepared to forgive for 10. I believe that people like Honorable Simon Lokodo are candidates for heaven. I don't know what else he did, but they are candidates for heaven.
Born in 1957, the late Father Lokodo will be buried on Tuesday, 8th February 2022 in Kabong District. Daniel Mugoya and Sebira Andrew, UBC News.
14 minutes after 8 in the studios of UBC TV. We'll now take a short break and we'll be returning with much more. Do stay with us.
MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily bundle of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 25 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 65 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 165 MBs. Dial *150 *10# or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN.
Ooh. Look. The thing goes. Wink, wink, wink.
Grab an ice-cold bottle of Pepsi Max today and drink to your bold lifestyle. Enjoy maximum taste with no sugar. Now available at a shop near you. Maximum taste, no sugar.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Start the year off with my Airtel 4G smartphone. You get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
Like other fathers across Uganda, I'm standing up to say no to violence against children. I commit to give my children a violence-free childhood. As fathers, we can make Uganda safer for our children. I promise to speak out when I see violence.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. A section of border riders and leaders have appealed to government and police to return motorcycles netted during a 2-year curfew on the industry. Now, this call follows President Yoweri Museveni suspending the 7 p.m. nationwide curfew imposed on the border industry.
I will thank the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
We're very, very excited. We're extremely excited.
After President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni's Sunday suspension of border curfew, border operators have welcomed the government decision.
This victory is for every Ugandan, that now our brothers, our sisters, members of the border community can directly make contribution towards the betterment of this country. We appreciate and thank you, His Excellency the President. You're our friend, you've always been with us. We thank you for listening to our outcry, and we thank you for giving us opportunity to serve this country.
Leaders and riders say the 2-year curfew affected the industry.
Naye tubadde tetukyakola ekyamazima n'abaana baffe badde tebannaba kudda ku masomero abamu.
We've been in curfew for over 2.5 years. By this time, we've started working. I'll have to thank him for that.
These borders were so much suffering with loans that they are taken actually even post-COVID or during the COVID time. And these are loans of school fees, these are loans of motorbikes and stuff like that. Today we are in a state where we can say, you know what, we can get back to work and we'll be able to meet our responsibilities.
The president's amnesty has been widely welcomed. Riders still decry fuel prices.
Kuba amafuta we tubadde tuyiwa mu lita y'amafuta ne tukola 15,000 katugenda tandika ate kukola 3,000 kitegeeza naffe tuwongeremuko kasente.
Of course, as you know, the fuel has heightened. Of course, we shall have to increase on the price because during those days we could buy a fuel of 5,000 and you could get some good money. But this time, when you buy fuel of 5,000, for sure we don't get anything from that 5,000. So I think for the price we shall have to increase on it.
The fate of motorcycles impounded by police is also a matter which the industry holders want government attention.
Kusaba president otwongereyo amnesty piki zaffe ezo bazituddize kuba mu mateeka ga traffic oba mu EPS express penalty scheme temuliimu fine ya curfew.
We have moved around Kampala. This I'm talking about Kampala. We have seen a lot of our bikes rotting in Wandegear, a lot of our bikes rotting in CPS. We have seen a lot of our bikes in Ginger Road. We have seen a lot of our bikes in Kill Road, in Kabalagala, and in all the stations across the country. So we really ask you to give a directive, or Mr. Enanga and the IGP, please give us our bikes. Give us back our bike so we can go back to work.
Ekiragiro tekyagambye nti bodaboda ez'emabega zirina kuweebwa bannannyinizo, jjukira nti zaali zaakwatibwa mu bumenyi bw'amateeka. So balina okugenda mu maaso okulaba nga basasula fine.
Police is, however, cautioning members of the public during night hours.
When you are traveling on a boda, please ensure the rider follows the route that you are conversant.
The suspension of border curfew now ends the COVID-19 lockdown measures which have been imposed on two different businesses. Robert Nyango, UBC News.
Now, Uganda Police has redesigned the police bond form to curb on rampant irregularities involved in giving suspects a police bond. The police spokesperson, Fred Enanga, while addressing the police weekly media brief, said the move aims to fight corruption among the officers and streamline the process of acquiring a police bond.
Police bond should be free for any suspects, though in most cases it is determined by the officers in charge of different police stations. The powers of police officers in charge of police bonds sometimes tempt them into monetizing police bonds.
There's an inserted watermark stating police bond is free. The watermark is very clear, like you'll be able to see. We strongly believe the new form will empower the public to resist extortionist demands for payment of bond.
Redesigning of Police Form 18, which grants a suspect leave from cells, will control corruption among errant officers.
Are issued always attract significant public interest due to concerns of misuse, bribery and extortion, which has an impact on the reputation of the police force.
Special features on the new look of the police bond details how to give a bond to suspects and how easily it can be traced by supervisors.
It will enable management fast-track a specific police bond issued to a station, a district, because each police bond has a serial number. This serial number here will help us to track the station, the district, the police post, which has issued that police bond.
The amended police bond is piloted in 20 districts, and the assessment exercise is being facilitated by Justice Law and Order Sector for the consultative review.
So the new form will be rolled out after an effective and successful pilot study in the 20 districts. The 20 districts.
The Department of Land Protection Unit at the Directorate of Crime Intelligence has cautioned the public about Legal Notice Number 2, which can guide on the eviction process. This comes amidst public outcry of being evicted illegally.
You don't evict without a warrant. A judgment, a court order does not evict. You must evict with a warrant, an eviction warrant.
Territorial Land Protection Unit commanders are advised to always seek guidance from the Directorate before actualizing any form of eviction. Police is investigating the manner in which authority councillors were handled while transferring them to Buganda Road Court last week. Fred Enanga says some officers manhandled the elected leaders and the video previewing is being done for an appropriate action against those officers.
Police is investigating a bailiff identified as Nsubuga David of Dublin and associated agencies who without an eviction on mere court judgments and interim orders which are not warrants. Moreover, the documents were not bearing the exact.
In last week's traffic report, police reported 372 accidents involving 388 victims and claimed 66 lives.
We are giving you an ultimatum of 2 weeks, up to 21st Feb 2022, to clear tickets off your cars and your driving permits to avoid inconveniences, since we are going to mount an operation on the same and even run the list of EPS defaulters in the newspapers after 21st Feb 2022.
Abdul Nasir Luwama, UBC News.
MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily bundle of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 25 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 65 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 165 MBs. Dial *150 *10 hash or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN.
It's time to learn. Schools are open. As a student, school life is going to be different. You must follow the COVID-19 prevention measures, which include always maintaining a 2-meter distance from others in class, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, regularly washing your hands with soap and water, wearing a washed and clean mask that covers your mouth and nose every day, and encouraging your classmates to do the same. Your teachers will also guide you on how to follow SOPs. Don't engage in violence with other students. Report any cases of abuse by teachers or other children to a senior teacher. Those who don't follow the rules should be immediately reported to a class teacher for correction and further guidance. If you experience flu-like symptoms such as a sore throat, fever, dry cough or body weakness, immediately seek medical attention from the school nurse and inform your class teacher. Whenever you sneeze or cough, please remember to cover your nose and mouth with a bent elbow, tissue or handkerchief. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Start your day bright and early with Good Morning Bundles from Airtel. That's right. Enjoy brighter days with 2 GB at 5,000 shillings, valid for 24 hours. Join that morning agent meeting. Close that online business deal. Catch up with loved ones. Do it all with the most affordable data bundles. Dial *175 hash to buy Good Morning Bundles from 12 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. and enjoy 2 GB, valid for 24 hours from time of purchase. Good Morning Bundles for the best day ahead with Airtel, the smartphone network.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament has learnt with profound shock of the
Welcome back. Let's have a look now at what's happening in the world of business. Housing Finance Bank and Airtel Money and Yebex, an IT solutions company, will start to provide Ugandan individuals with security-free loans. This venture will enable Ugandans access small or medium short-term credit quickly. Wadulo McArnold reports.
Over 32.3 million Airtel Money subscribers will benefit from the USSD loan scheme. The funds for the loans will be availed by Housing Finance Bank through an IT system designed by Yabex.
The absence or inadequacy of cash really affects productivity of the individuals, and these aspects have been, the not so good has been worsened by the restrictions imposed by the COVID. We had to contain the pandemic and various restrictions caused exacerbated the situation.
At a rate of 2%, borrowers are expected to repay the money within 14 days.
We also do credit scoring, and I think this is the beauty of data science, where you are able to analyze the customer and you don't want to give somebody something that he cannot pay, because then you are messing their lives.
The product shows the financial sector's potential to collaborate towards including more Ugandans into the money economy to access cheap and efficient financing.
A credit product that is available over the phone with minimal effort is actually very welcome. It also ties into something that we as Bank of Uganda and the sector are going to move towards too. We are going to move towards an environment where your key identifier is going to stop being the FCS card to become your name.
Airtel Money Uganda Limited, partnering with financial institutions, has provided products suited for both low and mid-income earners, the most recent being with KCB. Wadulo Makanol, UBC News.
And moving further afield, the outgoing High Commissioner of Kenya to Uganda, Ambassador Kiema Kilonzo, is set to rejoin elective politics after about 10 years in diplomatic service. Addressing journalists at the Kenyan High Commission in Kampala, Kilonzo, who once served as Member of Parliament, seeks to run for the Kitui County gubernatorial seat. The heated political temperature in Kenya has seen both Deputy President William Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga eyeing the presidency. Here is our reporter Henry Okrut with more.
The political temperature in the Republic of Kenya is on. Attention is on two heavyweights eyeing the country's presidency.
Tutawawekea pesa ya serikali kwa mfuko.
Many others are joining at various political levels, with the latest being Kenya's High Commissioner to Uganda, Kiema Kilonzo, who resigns tomorrow, 8th February 2022.
To the Ugandans, I'm not going to say goodbye. I just want to say I'll see you again, because your country has become my second country.
Ambassador Kilonzo once served as a Member of Parliament from 2002 to 2013, before joining diplomacy and international relations. He revives his political ambitions, this time as an aspiring governor for Kitui County.
I must say, when I joined diplomacy in 2014, I was privileged to have been appointed the first Kenyan ambassador to the land of Turkey, where I went to open those markets and opportunities to the people and created the networks which are necessary to ensure that when you are a governor, you are able to bring in investors to help your county. Because a governor is not only a politician, but is a manager.
Alliances are being formed, coalitions established, with some viewed as strong, while others as weak. Kilonzo's own is One Kenya Alliance, whose membership originally had 4 political parties, now reduced by 2. This followed the exit of Amani National Congress's Musalia Mudavadi and Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula, leaving KANU's Gideon Moi and Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka. Ambassador Kilonzo is not moved.
Why do you think by any chance that Oka is small? You know, one day in politics is a long, long time. And like I've told you, I'm not new in this game. This is a game I understand very well. I understand the lay of the land, and I understand that terrain.
Even when many are eyeing various political seats, focus remains on the presidency, with many wondering whether it will be Raila Odinga or William Ruto. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Sports news now, and we go to Arua, where Arua City is soon joining the history books as one to house a Confederation of African Football Standard Stadium. Now, this will be after completion of the Arua Hill Stadium that comes with a business pack. Take a watch.
Uganda's worry about sports facility will this July be allayed upon completion of the Arua Hill Stadium in Arua City. Though this one addition expected July this year won't suffice for a nation of about 42 million people, it is a giant leap for the people of Arua City. The project, which is a result of a public-private partnership, is contracted by Jowada Consults. The stadium, on 9.7 acres of land, leased to Jowada Consult for 49 years, to cost about $10 million, has an expected capacity of 20,000 fans. Construction works is about 75%, though it was slowed down by COVID-19. It will be open to the public by July this year.
Now, when you move inside, you'll be able to see now we have started the actual construction of the pavilion. This project is supposed to end in July, and what we're going to do is we'll be handing over in phases. So we're really trying to ensure that we're within our scheduled time.
With the business premises, mainly lockups, the first to be opened before the stadium.
We think within March, Block A and B will be handed over. By April and May, we're looking at Block C and D. And then July, August, we want to hand over the stadium site.
Federation of Uganda Football Association will also inspect works, while a technical team will advise on the playing turf.
And actually, the team from FUFA is supposed to come this week to come and have an inspection to ensure that the design is as per the CAF specification. So we're hopeful that everything will move well, and we start having also international games played in this stadium. When we looked at through different ideas, they were telling us there are some FIFA-approved grass, which might be better than artificial turf. So our technical team, they are still evaluating whether we should go with that FIFA grass or we'll go with the artificial turf. The different proponents who are giving advantages and disadvantages of both. So we're still analyzing that. But the turf will be the last thing to be done in this project.
This stadium will be home to Uganda Premier League side Arua Hill Football Club that is enjoying a great run in the debut season among the big boys.
And now, before we leave you, let's have a quick reminder of our top stories.
Brought to you by
how to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Now, top stories tonight. Border leaders seek borders in police custody released and conditionally. Court dismisses Kakwenza's application seeking to quash charges against him. Police amends the bail application form. And in sports, Arua City to house a Confederation of African Football Standard Stadium.
Was brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN. Brought to you by
We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
And that brings us to the end of this first edition of News Tonight here on UBC TV. We shall be back later on at 10 p.m. for our second and final edition. But we'll now leave you with a weather forecast for tomorrow with Juliet Alitubera. Stay tuned.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to today's weather report. I'm Alitubera Juliet. Hazy, dry and dusty conditions are being experienced in most parts of the country, though the southern sector has been cloudy for today, and these are high clouds, which clouds do not actually give us precipitation. From the satellite image taken over Africa, it indicates that we are still receiving those dry winds from Arabian deserts towards our country, contributing to the hazy conditions because these winds are carrying a lot of dust. And also the dryness is still continuing in our country. For tomorrow morning, we are expecting sunny intervals in most parts of Uganda. Later in the afternoon, we are expecting a pickup of very light showers for a few areas around Lake Victoria Basin. The rest of the country will still hold on to sunny intervals. The maximum temperatures are expected to rise to 32 degrees centigrade. That's really warm. And for the north, we shall have a maximum of 31 degrees centigrade. Around the lake, we shall have 28. For Kampala, 27. Kabale Highlands, we are expecting a maximum of 23 degrees. And for Kasese, a maximum of 31 degrees is expected. Thank you for keeping us company. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the Weather Report. Don't hesitate to visit our websites for more information. Have a wonderful night.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament has learnt with profound shock of the demise of the Iteso Paramount Chief, His Highness Papa Emorimor Augustine Osubanle Mokol, which occurred on Saturday 5th February 2022 at Mulago National Referral Hospital. Papa Emorimor has been a symbol of identity and unity in Teso, and he will be dearly missed. I thank the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency General Yoweri Tibuhaburwa Museveni, for according Papa Emorimor an official burial. I also thank the medical team and the family who managed to nurse Papa Emorimor until the time of his death. I pay tribute to Papa Emorimor for his dedicated service to the people of Teso and Uganda, and I appeal to the Iteso and Ugandans to always uphold Papa Emorimor's legacy of unity and peace as we celebrate a life well lived. Government is working closely with the family to ensure that he is accorded a befitting send-off. Burial details will be communicated later. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Anita Mong, Deputy Speaker of Parliament.
Like the sea meets every shore, not an if but it's a when. From beginning, the sea meets every shore, not an if but it's a when. From beginning to the end. Like the sea meets every shore, not an if but it's a when. From beginning to the end, I am fire in the rain. I've been through it all before.
Let's learn to feed our minds with the right information. When you feed your minds with bad news, you get bad news. And this is where you get us developing pressure and other diseases at an early stage. Anyway, welcome to UBC. My name is Susan Awor. You're in the life I live. On this show, I have three people. I think, let me start with her. She will introduce herself, then he will tell us his name. Hi.
Hi, viewers. My name is Nakabure Victoria.
Okay, we have Nakawiye Victoria. I'm also going to tell you my sign name because I got a sign name just of recently. I don't know if it's the right thing, but I have to do it for this show. So that she knows my sign name, because now my sign name is this. For that, I'll explain it after. I think for my interpreter will tell us his names, then we start from there.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for watching. My name is Chisole Says, and my sign name is Soda.
Hey, this guy likes soda because they say when they give you a sign name, it depends on what, something like a future, I don't know, because they spotted my beauty spot and they gave me that. Okay, let's start with Vicky. Vicky, you're going to take us through from your childhood. Let's get to know who is Vicky first.
That's my sign name.
What does that mean?
That is my sign name.
What does it mean? Like, they got it from what?
So that is just a side name they gave me because of rain, like the car wipers. I could always watch at them, so I could always enjoy that movement. So they gave me it as a sign name.
Okay, if you don't have a sign name, I think you need to visit the society so they get you one. You are not left out in this. Let's start with Vicky. Vicky, take us through your childhood, then with someone out there knows who is this Vicky on the life I live today.
Okay. I was born hearing, but during the stages of growth and development, I became sick, and that is how I became deaf. Through my life, within the deaf community, it has been very good. However, with some challenges, like at home, they do not know where should we take this child for school. And learning has been a challenge. How do we ask and how do I respond? It becomes a problem. So I always inform parents, please go and learn sign language so that I can also have that interest you achieve. So when they learn sign language, seeing it becomes a challenge. So they always learn slowly, but now, because of sign language, the community and I just feel okay.
Okay, I think that's so nice. She said earlier, you have, if your parents out there and you're interested in learning sign language, please go out for it so that me and you are not left out. In the next months to come, I promise you I'll be doing both the talking and the signing. That is a promise from me. I need to learn both so that Susan is not left out in this way. Let's look at the schools you attended. Maybe someone losing hope right now will pick from there and say, if Vicky went to school, I can do the same.
Okay, my first school was in Tinda School for the Deaf. So after I moved to Ngora Primary School for the Deaf. Then after I went to MSSD, a university. Then before I joined Wakiso School for the Deaf, secondary. Then after, I joined the Chambogo University. So there are many schools. There are many schools from secondary to primary that are inclusive in nature. They have those with the disabilities and then the hearing.
Okay, you don't have to keep your deaf child home. Give this child a chance to go to school. When they go to school, the future is bright for them too. They have, the competition is currently high to the point that what she can do, I can do. The only difference is she'll need an interpreter, but I've seen them pick it and be there. Okay, let's look at life after campus. Where did life put you after campus?
Okay, when I graduated, I went for monitoring work. So I felt staying home became so hard I started asking parents, what other thing do I need to do? So I requested them to look for me some job. So like designing this wedding groom and the bride. So I got an opportunity now afterwards to work as a teacher, and that is how I am living.
Yes, so this means you didn't study teaching.
No, I didn't. In the university, I learned interdiscipline. So like, we always have challenges in looking for jobs, where to work. But I thought, if there's an opportunity of teaching, then I better grab that one. Yes, I may have this as an application just on the CV to make it more heavy.
Okay. Stop telling yourself you cannot do something and stop focusing on the area. I always tell people this other part of you thinking you need something better for yourself starts with zero. When you start from down here, the better job will find you in this small one. Don't tell yourself, I hold a degree in accounts, I cannot do teaching. If there is an opportunity, like she said, go for it. Let's look at teaching. Now, when did you start teaching and how? And I want to know, like you applied, went for the same interview, what's really happened?
Okay. When I asked for a job, I applied. And first they said they need a CV. So I went back home. I had to look for my CV. I arranged it very well, depending on the levels that I've acquired or the certificates that I have. So I have a certificate for coaching in schools. And then I have a certificate in IT, computer. I got all of them and submitted. So I waited for interview. So in the interviews, like they were asking possibly how you behave, how I support my parents. Like it was a conversation. And then thereafter, a week after, they gave me a job. I was surely surprised. And the next month I started working. I had thought of maybe a month, but just within a week I started work. I was very happy. So I've now taught for 9 years.
Okay, I think this is where luck starts from. Some people ask for jobs and it takes 100 years, 10, 15, and you're waiting. But you, just a week, she got it. I think I need to tap this blessing. Next time I ask for a job, I'll take it one day and someone will just hire me. Okay, for these 9 months, I'm going to sit down and ask myself first, I want to know the challenges. And before I know the challenges, I want to know, what do you teach? Are you teaching sign language, English, or all in all you're teaching all of them together?
Okay, for now, in this school, we do not have most teachers who know or who understand deaf people. I am just alone. So I teach all subjects. But before, I was feeling I can teach mathematics and English. So since these other people may not handle, but now I teach all subjects.
All the subjects.
Yes.
From P1 to P7, or you have a class that you look at and say, in my Gund, I can do this class.
Okay, from baby to primary 1. Then, but however, when I am done with it, you see P1, P2, P3, those classes will always continue. So we continue up to primary 4 because primary 5, 6, and 7 are not yet there.
Okay, where we are seated here is a school. For someone who doesn't know, we are at school and she's the only teacher who does sign language. I am out also for sign language. I don't know sign language completely, but she does. She's a teacher for sign language. Now I think I once had an interview where they called in people like, we need to learn this sign language, so kids are not left out. January is coming and some kids will be home still. Taking me back to the population of school, I don't expect a school to have less than 300 kids at school. How many kids do you teach in this school? Are they 10, 5? Because I'm looking at work being hectic at the same time for you.
Yes, last time, the first step, we're finding out we had 16 deaf. But when we continued, some dropped out. Some could not manage the school fees. So we have about 6 children.
Yeah, so the 6, okay, the 6 I think it's manageable. Let's look at, apart from teaching, what else do you do in this school?
Apart from teaching, I have training, skills training, drama, dancing, sports, and different activities.
Okay, looking at sports for person with the deaf society, I want to know, do these kids participate in sports or they just do class and that's the end of it?
Okay. When children start school, they learn. So in most cases, they feel bored and tired with the time. So we get this little time. We teach them like to open their brains, to make them free.
Our Ugandan story isn't a new one. It's not about where we come from. It's about what can be accomplished when we're working, living, and growing together. It's about speaking the same language, the language of progress. We're Ugandans building Uganda with Ugandans, skilling Ugandans and developing competencies required in the oil and gas sector, partnering with Ugandan businesses to achieve greatness. We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay, FlexiPay, or Bridge Schools. To pay school fees using Airtel Money for Bridge Schools, dial *185#. Select option 6, School Fees. Select option 1, Bridge Schools. Enter pupil ID. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
The President and Mama signed the placard as we launch UGIF projects in Uganda here. Placard by signing Gajum. Mama is also signing.
Your Excellency, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for honoring our invitation and to be here at the commissioning ceremony of this Kayingala City Secondary School. Your Excellency, as most of you may be aware, government in collaboration with the World Bank have been implementing the Uganda Intergovernmental Physical Transfers, which is popularly known as UGIFT, since financial year 2018 to 2019. The UGIFT program, Your Excellency, is coordinated by Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and has 5 other participating ministries. These ministries include, Your Excellency, local government, Ministry of Health, Water and Environment, Works and Transport, and Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries. Your Excellency, the wage component is supposed to address recruitment of staff for newly constructed city secondary schools, of which Kayangala is one of them. And I want to report to you, Your Excellency, that the staff has been already recruited. Your Excellency, another part this component is supposed to address is the recruitment of staff for primary and secondary schools that meet the category of least staffed all over the country. Your Excellency, it is also supposed to address underwage recruitment of additional inspectors for local governments in line with the international recognized ratio of 1 inspector for 40 schools. It is also addressing the recruitment of teachers for 51 selected primary schools in refugee hosting local governments, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, the non-wage is for enhancing the capitation grants for UPE. And I want to thank Your Excellency and report to you that this has since increased from 7,000 to 17, over 100% increment, Your Excellency. And USE capitation grant has also increased from 41,000 to 58,000. And for operate, Your Excellency, is A level. It has also increased from 80,000 to 90,000. So, Your Excellency, the capitation grant has been greatly enhanced. Your Excellency, to further strengthen the inspection of schools in education institutions, the program is supporting the rollout of the teachers' effectiveness and learner achievement, which we normally refer to as TERA system to all government primary, secondary, and decentralized tertiary institutions. Your Excellency, this is an digital inspection system which will help us to monitor and to inspect schools digitally. The development component is for constructing, equipping, and staffing 259 city secondary schools in 3 phases. And Your Excellency, the school you have already commissioned today is a part of this 259. And in phase 1, Your Excellency, 117 schools are supposed to be constructed, and in phase 2, 115 schools are supposed to be constructed. Then in phase 3, 27 will be constructed over a period of 5 years, Your Excellency. Again, this component of development is supposed to also construct and equip 418 laboratories in existing secondary schools without functional laboratories. Your Excellency, I want to report to you, we have 1,291 government secondary schools. So if we can provide 418 laboratories, then we shall be answering to our call, Your Excellency, of supporting science education in our schools. It is also supposed to complete construction of incomplete structures in 21 technical schools and polytechnics. Your Excellency, here we have 3 units of 2 classroom blocks, and this translates into 6 classrooms. So we are boosting our number, which is 12,880 classrooms that we have in public secondary schools. So we are adding stock to that number. Your Excellency, the program was designed in such a way that implementation of activities relies on the existing structures of the ministry. Your Excellency, UGIFT was designed using a hybrid modality, which provides for shared responsibilities between the ministry, that's local, central government, and local governments, who are the end users. So they have a stake, and therefore they were part of the designing of this project. The ministry is responsible for advertising and support supervision, while local governments are responsible for procurement, that is evaluating and selecting contractors and contract management, and also do daily monitoring. I want to report to you, Your Excellency, that this local government seems to have performed very, very well if we get an opportunity to move around. Your Excellency, though we had an issue of land, and during the design of the program, it was agreed that the seed secondary schools which are to be constructed should have at least 6 acres of public owned land, free of any encumbrances. However, Your Excellency, this was not the case for many local governments which had sub-counties without government-aided schools. They didn't have ready land, and that somehow delayed the project. Many local governments fronted land owned by religious bodies, which made it difficult to title since the ownership is not readily transferable. Some local governments, Your Excellency, simply did not have 5 acres of public land within the targeted sub-counties, leading to delays in the commencement of the civil works. Your Excellency, the full package of this UGIFT program has the following components. It addresses preliminary activities, which include advertisements and working on the program project. And 2, Part B, it addresses or provides the following components or facilities. 1, a multi-purpose hall. Your Excellency, we have gotten an opportunity to move around. It is down there. It has 3 2-unit classroom blocks. We have these 2 here, and we have another one in the extreme corner, which is meant for A-level. Then 3, an administration block. Your Excellency, it's the block behind us here. A fully equipped 2-unit science block with science kits and chemical reagents. Your Excellency, the science block is that one, this one here, and it is fully stocked. Your Excellency, implementation of the first phase of phase 1 of the 117 seed secondary schools commenced in financial year 2018-2019. And to date, at least 50 seed secondary schools, including Kaingara Seed Secondary School, where we are now, have been constructed to completion and are ready for commissioning, 50. And Your Excellency, the remaining number is almost at the verge of being handed over by the local governments, because before we commission, the local governments have to hand them over so that they can be commissioned. Kaingara Seed Secondary School was signed on 10th June 2019 at a sum of 2.07 billion and was implemented by CRIM General and Technical Services Limited, Your Excellency. We feel this firm has done a good job, Your Excellency. It is anticipated that all the 115 in phase 2 contracts shall be signed by the end of February. We are looking at the end of February because adverts have already been run, and we hope contracts will be signed so that phase 2 can also commence. Your Excellency, the Ministry conducted a comprehensive mapping exercise in 2015, which revealed or informed us of the 385 sub-counties that did not have a government secondary school by that time. The UGIFT program is covering 259 of these sub-counties, Your Excellency. Since the mapping exercise of 2015, however, a number of administrative units have come into existence, Your Excellency. Consequently, a new mapping exercise shall be required to establish the number of sub-counties without city schools. A few have been added, but we are still confident that with over 100 from the other project, we shall be able to bridge the gap. Your Excellency, since each school has been constructed to have 6 classrooms, each estimated to accommodate at least 50 students per class, this is increasing access by 300 learners per school. By the end of the first phase, Your Excellency, the program estimates that access will be provided to 100,000 students or learners, and by the end of the entire project, 77,700 learners will have access to secondary education. One, thank you, Your Excellency, for that. Your Excellency, this is not only improving the education outcomes, but also addressing ever-increasing gender divide. I wish to conclude, Your Excellency, by saying that a learner going in a secondary school at Kayingala City Secondary School is not in any way different from somebody getting secondary education in those so-called big or traditional schools. The traditional schools are now in this sub-county here. In fact, I want to report to you, Your Excellency, if you moved around, many of our secondary schools, which are referred to as traditional, do not have the kind of labs we have at Kayingala. We don't. And I want to thank you, Your Excellency, for that.
Yabare Munonga, PS, Minister of Education and Sports.
Ruhoro bantumwe. Ruhoro ji. Mukuru cyeciro kikuru. Mukama simwe kututera izuba. Inyenda ku banza kusiba president nk'uko mwamwesimira ahabo kutuhereza izuba akayikiriza kwija kutombekera wamini kutwigurira ishomero ryaitu rya Kehangara. Ishomero twabanza kwigura mu mashomero agaga UGIFT gani 17 kandi akayimukira indidi akayija kureba umurimo wo gukozura. Rero nyenda kusima abaibanda local government. Nyenda kubasima ba district leaders habukuba mwahurira n'abantu banyine babasima kumwombekera egiye kumukozera umurimo omurungi kandi nashemerwa kureba kweronda mwekaho wanyu ubwo nimanya abeira ntungamu kandi nimbagambira ngo n'umwesigwa nicyo bizimbe byanyu biri kurebekera huriye mukamasimu mnonga mbwenu yenda kucumura ugufa gukuba ibintu bingi report ya permanent secretary wetu ya Rugamba konka ama ebizimbe byina project eji ibakweta UGIFT ni kimanyisa Uganda Government Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfer byone bugambo Ministry ya Finance ekora rero ubundi abantu bakabura kumanya iki kikumanyisa when UGIFT numanye kikumanyisa abantu mwe ubundi ebigambo by'orujungu bagenda bakwatanisa abantu babura kumanya iki project erikumanyisa mwene project egi nk'uko mwahurira ikatandika 2018 ne 2019 haza twashanga esente bazirunzira ba finance bajya ngo baza kuzohereza direct mu local government no bakuza kumbeka amashomero nyowe nkabandi giri Karamoja haza nkanimanya ubundi local government ukuzitwaza kandi ukombeka amashomero nabona nkaba ntwire ni ntekateka ngo ukombeka classrooms tikine mugasho muhango nicyo mukurebera project eji tukagezaho gukora ebyishomero yona rukwetinga ubu kugira ngo ni university tukajya tishomero ya secondary eri tukugira ngo nishomero ya government ryonka omugomborromu tukuruhereza classroom zonka nizimara abatagira labu kandi tugira ngo education yitu hati science based kandi hati ntukoraki mbona twagira ngo hati twine kombeka amashomero in this project agar comprehensive againe byetengo byishomero rya secondary ryona nicyo mukurebera tugezeho gukora ibikwetengesa na multipurpose hall na laboratory n'amaju g'abashomesa twagira ngo tutandike no kutaho amaju g'abashomesa ahubwo abashomesa okutatura ha campus y'ishomero nikizibira ishomero kutebekana mbwene amashomero aga nubwo tutandikireho gukora comprehensive secondary schools haza mbwene kandi nahura n'umuryango kandi president abahereze dormitories kandi kandi agezaho ku encouraginga amashomero kushika haihi n'amaka g'abantu rero ngo abana bashome batahe rero kandi turere kugira boarding schools kandi dormitories mwende zengi ntwenda ngo amashomero gatunge byone bikwetengesa kushomesa umwana hati n'ikiri kuburaho ekimbere ni ntekateka nangwa mbere ni nkimugambira recently ntishana amashomero agaga secondary especially no kuronda okutura bahereze na chapel zo kushabiramu rero kandi tukamanya abandi kibasika nikireta balance omumadini gona ninga tukubasika rero icyo tukireke kunga government irondo ko abana baragumenwa nabashabisubwa mu mashomero turere kutandisa abana no kumanya hanga na cyo intekateka mu government ine kukitekateka kunga bya dormitories nibyo kutekateka ngo hati kandi twaba tutabine mu plani twenda day schools abana bashome batahe kandi bagume beinaka kwate na villages zeitu nka interns rumanya bari aba medical schools kuba zo hospitals bataka qualifying bamanye imirimo yabo ikikuza gukora mwena abana kuba guma beinaka kwate n'ibyaro nabone ba interns nibagumana bamanya ekihanga yitu rugwetenga na skills ezibine kushoma bakija bakatambira ibyaro byitu konka kutuba divorcinga yecyo nabo ubona baba ba dormitories baba ba boarding schools ibyaro byitu tubakumanya really what the needs are, what skills are good for transforming our villages. Niyo ningira ngo icyo nacyo mwene kumana mu kitekatekaho nkabazaire kandi nkaba leaders ba districts mwenu ngo kumabura report ya PS negamba agamashomero igani 17 agahwire ngo turi kwigura hamurundo ogu ngo abana batandike kugakozesa agataka bwire nago nigaija kuhwa rero abana nibagira amashomero garikwetengyesa goona konka nihakurataho feezi endiijo nk'oku mwahurira ripooti ya PS negamba igana 15 n'agandi 27 nitugenda nitufunza amashomero agataine seed secondary schools za gavumenti omu sub-counties omu magomboro. PS wetu atwekire detailed guidelines for the opening of schools omu mashomero goona. We are confident that our education institutions will reopen safely very soon in the coming year. Our teachers are among the priority groups identified for vaccination, and to date, we know that at least 70% of the teaching staff have embraced vaccination, with more than 28% receiving full vaccination of 2 shots, or more than 28, I'm hoping, by now. Now let me use this opportunity to appeal to any staff who have not yet been vaccinated to ensure that they will do so. And I would also like to urge all education institutions to enforce the standard operating procedures as issued by the Ministry of Health. Some of these include wearing masks at all times, regular hand washing and sanitization. And as I conclude, I call upon all your leaders gathered here today, again, and members of parliament, district leaders, parents and teachers, to hold hands with us to ensure that our education institutions reopen safely on the 10th of January 2022. Please take the responsibility to find out the state of the schools, as I have said. And as the Member of Parliament knows, I wrote to all members of Parliament in the country because I trusted them as heads of political heads in each constituency to really take the responsibility to ensure that our schools will get a final touch to ensure that there will be a better environment for our children to get back to in school. It is now my singular honor and pleasure to invite the President to address you, and I thank you and God bless you. I wish you a blessed 2022.
The Honorable Ministers, the Honorable Minister, the Minister of State, the district leaders, the Bishop and the Reverend, the Father, the head teachers and the teachers. NRM, right from the beginning, was a political force for the ordinary people. There were governments before our time. There were the traditional governments before colonialism. There was the colonial government, and then there was the post-independence governments. I happen to have seen the three of them. I saw what the colonial government was doing. I saw what the post-independence government had done. So ours was the third type of government. Now what we saw in the time before the NRM was that education was elite education. Elite education. It was education for some. This is because the schools were few and far away and based on payment. Based on payment. They had made education a commodity to be bought, to be paid for. Which means if you don't have money, you don't buy the commodity you need. And you can all go and do research and find out how many people, for instance, were in secondary schools by 1962. I think I have quoted those figures in some of my speeches. If you go back, you'll see the numbers. How many young people were in the secondary schools at the time of independence. So therefore, the NRM came with a totally different idea, which is the concept of mass education. Mukyetegereza ekyo itontwenda bona bashome, turikwenda bamwe bashome. Like when I was at Ntare, I can count on my hands how many children were from Uganda here. So that's why from the beginning, our movement was no, let's have education for all. Now, education for all means a number of things. Number one, the schools must be near where the people live. And that's why we came up with the concept of a secondary school per sub-county. But secondly, the schools must be free education. Because if you bring in money, what do I do if I don't have money? And you can see this, you can see the distortion. Because according to that Ministry of Education, they will tell you that there are 10.8 million children in the primary schools. Before the schools were closed, 10.8 million. Then you say, okay, those are in the primary schools. And the primary schools mean 7 years, P1 to P7. So, what happens subsequently? How many children are in the secondary schools? Only 2 million, 2 point something million. Hey, where have the others gone? Because there were 10.8 million in the 7 years of primary education. The years of secondary education are also almost 7. They are S1 to S4, S5 to S6. Those are 6 years. And then also the technical schools. If you add the secondary school population and the post-secondary population, they're about 3 million. So what happened to the other 7 million? Where are they? Almost 8 million who were in the primary school. Why have they not progressed to the secondary and post-secondary. They have dropped out. What has blocked them? Money, payment. Because education is a commodity. A commodity is bought for by those who can afford. So that's why for us we said, please, when it comes to the issue of the dormitories, why we don't encourage dormitories is that I want free education in the government schools. The government schools of the wananchi. If you want to go for paid education, the private schools are there, and the very expensive government schools are also there. The schools like Kayangara, why you want them to be day schools is because we want the government to provide free education. And what does free education mean? It means the government, with its own money, builds the classrooms, builds the laboratories, builds the library, including the computer library, builds teachers' houses and administration blocks and the other supporting facilities. With its own money, without excuse of going to the parents, bring money. We want the parents to be out. So now when you add on dormitories, then that means the government must get more. We shall not manage. There will be too many things for the government to do, because we also need to do other things. So therefore, we want cheaper secondary education and technical education and cheaper primary education, so that in the government schools, children can study free. Now, when you add all these other things, which are not crucial for learning, like sleeping and all that, then you make the education more expensive, and the government cannot afford. So if the government cannot afford, then you go to the parents, bring money. And the parents don't have the money. So I want you to do research, you the leaders. The other time we were in the evening at, was it Chani? We were at Chani, or where were we? There's time when we held, there's another secondary school somewhere in Chani or something. We were there with the Vivagam in the evening, and I asked the public, I said, Kawabuza, ntubangize ngwima abanyibanda numbasa kuhera abana konka nimwegiza ninga tumuri kubasa. You need to answer that question. Can the majority of the people afford to pay for secondary education, or can they not afford? If education is for paying, you should answer that. If you say they can afford, they are rich enough, then you tell me to take away the UPE money. Then why am I sending UPE money? If they can afford. But when we asked at that school, I think it was the Chani, about 80% said Strukubas. It's only about 20% who said Nivegiza. Ukwegiza mkumanye. nibabasa nibegiza ati mwe mungambiri nimwegiza ninga tumukubasa. Let's get an answer to omo alichigambe cyo akagambe. Let's get one answer to, not now, but you go and talk to your people and do research. So what do we do now? Because our analysis was that these people, there are many families who cannot afford. Who cannot afford. And because of that, let's have a cheap way of giving education paid for by the government so that the children study free. And what does that? What is that? Classrooms, laboratory, library, teacher's house, administration, textbooks, computers provided by the government. You, the parents, just provide uniform, provide exercise books, and enter under muricho contention kaza kuteka kaza kuihora kaza ku government kuenea za kuteka kuza kuihora kuza kufuta romoro kuza, because those you can do yourselves are waiting. Why can the parents cook and do that for their children so that the government brings what is not available? What is not available are these structures in the village. Are these structures? That's what is not available. The dormitory, the library, the laboratory, the teachers paid for by the government, so that we bring what you don't have. But surely, if so I am repeating here in English for all those people who are hearing, please, let's get an answer. Of course, we can build the dormitories, but if we build the dormitories, we shall not be able to cover everybody. So that's why we want every sub-county to have a secondary school where children can walk like we walked. If you can walk from home to primary and back, why don't you continue walking? Now, some people are bringing the idea of the girls being vulnerable when they are walking back. Okay, let's examine that. Let's study it. If that is the case, then should we build dormitories for girls only? Because I want to keep educational cost cheap so that I can pay for all my children. The government. This is the challenge. So therefore, you go and discuss it. The plan of having a secondary school for Passam County, of having a technical school per constituency. For the technical schools, we shall have to have we'll have to have boarding schools because they are far. That one we cannot avoid it for now because they are at the constituency or the district. There, the argument for boarding schools is valid. So really, that is the plan. You go and discuss it among yourselves. But not to discuss it just among the leaders. Talk to the people, the villagers, and bring accurate social research. So therefore, we are here, and I came here to use this school as a symbol, because I cannot go to all the schools. I just came here as a symbol to remind Ugandans to support Mama because she was coming here, but tell Ugandans that we are moving on the front line of education for mass education. The idea is mass education, as opposed to elite education. Elite education, education for a few. When I was in A level, they were paying us money. We were being given allowance. Government was giving us money. When I was in university, we were being given money by the government. Free education plus money we were being given. But this is because we were few. This is because we were few. And the Banyankole say, empazemwe tehenya na mchongole. When one red ant goes into the calf pen and it bites one calf, the calves will not stampede out of the calf pen because it's only one red ant. So I don't want a few red ants in Kehangara. I want education for everybody. This is the challenge. How can we affordably give free education for everybody? Can the parents pay? All of them? If they can, then you tell us and we say, yes, we have now confirmed that all parents can pay, so you pay. If they can't, instead of preserving ignorance, then we pay. The government pays. And in order for government to pay, we must have a strategy that is affordable for the government to pay. Now that's really the main point. I can give you an example, like how we built for you an army that can defend the country cheaply. You have had many countries in Africa, they can't defend themselves. They have to call UN to come and defend them. But for us, we defend ourselves. Why? Because we developed a concept of how to defend ourselves cheaply. Now, during Yamini's time, and even during Obote's first government, I was at Ntare here. There are boys who were ahead of us. Some of them, we know them, like Ndahendekire. William Ndahendekire was from this area. And others who left us at Ntare, who were in S4, when we were in S1. They left somewhere in the S4 when we were in the S2. They went and joined the army, go for training for 1 year. He comes out of school or out of the training, immediately has got a car given to him by the government. Can you imagine? A car. They were driving cars. Those boys who had left us at Ntare, already they are driving. Hey, where do you get all this money from? Now, but when war came, they ran away. They couldn't fight because they had put the emphasis on cars, on luxury. Yeah? For us, we say no. A soldier needs a human being, needs a gun, needs some uniform and food. The rest we shall add on slowly. We don't give cars, loans for cars, for private, for cars. No. If we did that, we would not afford to defend the country. Even you remember at one time our soldiers were staying in grass thatched houses. Haven't you seen them? Haven't you seen our soldiers staying in grass thatched houses, which they call Mama India Pole? Yes. We didn't have money to start with barracks. If we had done that, we would never have managed. So this is the concept. This is the concept of NRM, how to do things cheaply and affordably. That's why, therefore, the issue of dormitories should be studied very, very. Certainly, I don't want to pay for dormitories and have children chased out of school because they cannot pay money for dormitories. No. Let them walk from their homes as long as the schools are near. Or they cycle, or we can look for cheap ways of how to do it. These people here were crying that there is a plan of the government to bring electricity to a number of places, but also to bring gravity water from one place to another place. The program is there, but it is paralyzed for 3 years now. Why? Because some owners of land want to extort money from the government. They ask for excessive compensation money, and the government cannot accept that. So this business of extorting from the government must stop. And that's why I was telling the member of parliament that they must provide that, number one, must amend the law and even the constitution to say that if you don't accept government evaluation, that should not stop the work. The work should continue. The government should deposit in the court or in the bank the value of the government value. Put the money there. Then this fellow can go to court if he wants, but the work continues. If he wins, the government will top up, something like that. But not people to paralyze work of the country because of selfish, of wanting to, I was calling it acquire, to loot the government through compensation. That was one of the points I spoke about in the local language. Then there was the issue of the last one was what? The one of feeder roads. The one of feeder roads, the tarmac roads are being worked on, many of them, and they are good. But when you go to the feeder roads, you find a problem. The issue was the one of the feeder roads, and the cow said the money is not enough. I said, how much do they give you per quarter? He said it's 200 and something. And then I said, what would be enough for both the district and the town councils? Then he said, maybe like 600 million, 1.2 billion. For me, I said, we shall make it 1.5 billion. So let's now go. I'm going to work in the central government to ensure that I raise 1.5 billion per district for the feeder roads, so that we have got good maram roads, which means the road is graded, is marammed, is compacted, and the drainage is made so that it is a reliable road. Now that we have got these tarmac roads, some of these rural roads may not even be used so much by the vehicles, because the vehicles are using the main roads. But in case you come inside, it should not be a problem. It should also be, after all, things like agriculture, like things cannot get to the tarmac road before they come from the feeder roads. Now, the question of the degree holders, that we have got many degree holders, that's very good. That's why we wanted mass education. Now, but the problem comes when you mix up the degree holders or school leavers with working for the government. I am a degree holder, I must work for the government, for the public service. But how many people can the public service employ? How many Gombora chiefs do you have? Don't you have one Gombora chief? Unless you kill the one who is there. you are not likely to get another position of Gombora chief. There is one Gombora chief, there is one Murka chief, there is even the schools. Even if we say the schools, the teaching service, there is a given number. Like when we were at Chamate Primary School, we had 6 teachers. There were 6 classrooms, there were 6 teachers, including I think the headmaster was also teaching. So even if you go to school, to wherever you go, there is a fixed number of public servants. And the total number of public servants now, including the army and the police, is 480,000. But the population is 43 million. So, all these educated people, we are not educating them to go into the government public service. That's a wrong understanding. Some may go on competitive basis, but the majority should join the private sector. We are educating you so that you join the private sector. Many of my children are old now. Our children, they are old. The only one is in the government. This is the most one who is in there because he likes army. All the others are in the private sector. They're in the private sector. That's why I educated them. I did not educate them to go and be in the government. We educated them to go in the private sector. So therefore, the demand, the correct demand, should be you give these university leavers capital so that they go into private sector. And the private sector means 4 sectors. Number 1, agriculture, commercial agriculture. Many of my children are in a commercial agriculture. Number 2, industry. Big or small, like the ones we are talking about, the coffee hala for Kehangala, that's industry. The maize mill, the milk cooler, those are all small industries. Fruit processor, like all these bananas here, processing them. Then 3rd sector is services. Services like transport, like hotels and so on, tourism. And then ICT. Some of the children can go to the ICT. So really this is the correct way to go. Mwebale munonga, mwebale abarweshambia, mwebale kutwakira abanyibanda n'abare ba muhanda utwantwisha, mutakagira ngo twatakwena ngo mushyaha, konke ndwareji kebanze erijahansi. Tureke kwitwa busha. Nkeyazalira kenda ente ekeri yokuzalira imyezi 9 kwiyabo yaki imyezi 5 yazara kandi yazalira kiti muri cyo tukora abana mu obwire n'ubija kufika ekitabo cyo mbuzi nshijira ngo there is time for everything. Hari ubwire bwa buri kintu tuza kufika hakwibura ihanga n'ebyentashya n'ebyo kushoma rero tubasa gukora ibyo gukora no kugira inkiko zabona no kushikana tukaganira mwabare muno.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my...
Our Ugandan story isn't a new one. It's not about where we come from. It's about what can be accomplished when we're working, living, and growing together. It's about speaking the same language, the language of progress. We're Ugandans building Uganda with Ugandans, skilling Ugandans and developing competencies required in the oil and gas sector, partnering with Ugandan businesses to achieve greatness. We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
Are your children ready to learn? Schools are open. As parents and guardians, it is your duty to ensure that your children go back to school. COVID-19 prevention measures have been put in place to keep students safe as they go back to school. Not only do teachers prioritize everyone's health, including their own, but they discourage violence among students. They also ensure that students follow SOPs. Any concerns are reported to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Dear parents and guardians, you too must play your role. Ensure your children always maintain a 2-meter distance from others, avoid crowded places, regularly wash their hands with soap and water, and wear a washed and clean face mask that covers their mouths and noses. Please keep your children at home if they're feeling sick, and take note. In our effort to keep students safe, there are no visitation days or any other school visits allowed. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Join us from Monday to Friday for Good Morning Uganda with me, Felix Okono, Robert Chirabo,
Molen Kenyana,
Ruben Mpimba, with all the morning's essentials,
including the very latest in news, traffic,
weather and sports.
Hope you'll be setting your alarms, cause we are
looking forward to seeing you then.
This is Good Morning Uganda.